Well, then Sycamore introduced you to Just Blaze, and Just Blaze instantly took to you.
Before that, I was signed to Mark Ronson. I was Mark Ronson's first artist.
Oh, right. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I forgot all
Mark
about
Ronson
that.
took me to Australia. I went all around the world with Mark Ronson, and that's was because he's just a loyal guy. You know what I'm saying? I used to carry his records and shit. Like his producing skills was nowhere remotely close. Like he was just learning how to produce. He would DJ all like puffy parties, the popular parties and all that. He was a popular DJ, but he was just starting out as a producer. So when he was like, yo, ultimately I'm gonna start a label. Me and Rich Kleiman, who's now fucking Kevin Durant's right-hand man and manager and agent, Rich Kleiman, like those guys took me in early. Like I went around the whole world with these guys. Like so while he's doing his DJ parties, I'm like, yo, I'll carry the records and shit. Just not because he wanted me to, it was just helping my boy out who was doing something. So he signed me to like a 6-month deal. He was like, if I can't get you a deal in 6 months, go out there and do your thing. And after the 6 months was up, we had did like dun-dun-dun. He put me on an album. Like I put me on a single. He did in hindsight, I would have stayed with Mark Ronson. I would have never, because I just was poor. I didn't have no money. So I was like, Mark, I gotta find a way to get a check. You know what I'm saying? Because, I need a check. You know what I mean? He didn't have a bunch of money at the time. So he was like, he'd give me what he could, but I was couch surfing and shit. I was living on niggas' floors and shit. And I'm like, yo, this shit is, I know things are gonna happen, and they start taking too long. But he was doing everything he said he was gonna do. Like I was on Ooh Wee. It's for Ooh Wee with Nate Dogg and Ghostface and me. I was on that record. Like I said, he brought me to Australia. He brought me all over the world before I even fucking. I only got a passport because of Mark Ronson. And then when that deal didn't go through, I hit the streets again. I started pounding the pavement, and then that's when Sycamore called and was like, "Yo, would you want to do a situation with Just Blaze?"
Yeah. So then Just Blaze starts fucking with you, and you end up signing to Atlantic Records.
Yeah, which was the stupidest mistake of my life. Dumbest
well,
mistake.
You got to also think, I mean, at the time, your buzz was big.
Through the roof.
Here you are, Just Blaze is on top of the world. He's like what can you, I'm trying to think.
Timberland.
Like
he's Timberland. He's Timberland at the time.
Yeah, he was Timberland at the time.
He's Timberland. He's Timberland. He got all kind of hit records.
He was the hot producer, and he was also locked in with Jay-Z.
Yep.
So you guys started putting together your project, and the features on the project are crazy.
Jay-Z. We got Jay-Z.
Jay-Z.
Yeah, we got Jay-Z. Yeah, Jay-Z from Trey Songz, you name it, man. Marsha Ambrosius, Devin the Dude, like Faith Evans, like any Lazy Bone, any artist that, and I didn't care about who was hot at the time. I cared about the artists that I loved and respected. You know what I mean? I wanted to work with the artists that I liked. You know what I'm saying? And what happened is once Julie Greenwald started to see what direction I was going in, she wasn't happy because they signed I got my buzz off that Come Again scene, Come Again, when we on Me and True Life on Smack with Guns Out. The same shit that was causing, like, for instance, let me give you an example. I went to do a show in Hartford, Connecticut. This is before my deal. And the promoter was like, Sai, we love you. They gave me a bunch of money to come up there and perform. But they was like, yo, you can't perform Come Again. So I'm like, the fuck? That's like my hottest shit on the streets. You know what I mean? Look at Saigon, where'd you get that flow? You better get in there singing Come Again. That shit was, he was like, because when they play that song, niggas start shooting this shit. Like it invokes violence and shit. So I'm like, damn, a song can make motherfuckers start shooting in the club? Like, I don't want to be responsible for that song. I'm not proud of that. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, that made me think. In the back of my mind, I was like, I was flattered at the same time I was concerned. Put it like that. I was like, damn, I could evoke emotions and make niggas do that. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to be some girl gets shot in the face because these niggas don't know how to shoot, or you know what I'm saying? And they start shooting in the club and somebody gets shot just because of a song that I wrote. So But the shit had me hot in the street. Like I said, I was one of the hottest niggas in the street. But when I got my deal and I knew that I was gonna be in front of a big audience, and I went in to make my album, I said, I can't make that. I made the conscious decision to say, yo, Just, I'm not making that kind of shit on this album. And this is why I respect Just Blaze forever. He said, yo, follow your heart, man. Do what you want. And when I told him what I wanted to do, he let me know. He said, son, it's not gonna be easy. He said, yo, you're gonna have a hard climb. You know what I mean? Doing this kind of, trying to do conscious music and trying to do, because right now 50 Cent was everything. 50 was all shoot 'em up, bang, bang, what up, blood? And they was all looking for the next 50. You know what I'm saying? They thought I was gonna be in that 50 Cent vein. You know what I'm saying? And they thought that's what they was looking for. Around 2003, 50 was everything. Like, you know what I'm saying? Everything was 50 Cent. 50 Cent stopped liking me because I made a mixtape, right? Called Saigon verse 50, right? And DJ Self hosted it. But because when I was in prison, there was a mixtape called Cannabis versus DMX that DJ Self did, which was big in the prison system. But it wasn't them dissing each other. It was just play a Cannabis song and play a DMX song back to back to back. Because with the Africans, only thing that was moving was some G-Unit shit. Like, if it didn't have G-Unit on it, the Africans wasn't fucking with it. And I learned how to use them as like for distribution. So I'm like, yo, Africans ain't fucking with our shit. This was when Gotti was like my manager at the time. I'm like, we gotta think of something, how we can incorporate this 50 Cent nigga in it. But you know what I'm saying? Because that's all they want. As soon as you come up with your CD, yo, I got this G-Unit, no G-Unit, I ain't fucking with it. So I'm like, damn. So I'm like, how could I piggyback this nigga's wave without being disrespectful, without, you know what I mean, making diss records? So I guess when we put that out, I guess they took it as we was being disrespectful and shit. Because Sha Money, I seen Sha Money at one of those, you know, when everybody used to go down to, what was them, mixtape power summits. Remember the power summits they used to do?
Mix show power
summit. Mix show power summit. I seen Sha Money down there, and 50 was down there. He had the CD, and he told me, he was like, yo, this was a bad idea, bro. And I'm like, what do you mean it's bad? I'm like, he's like, this was a bad, and me and 50 had a pretty good relationship prior to that. You know what I'm saying? So first I thought it was over some other shit, and then when Son told me that, I was like, man, like I ain't with that. I'm a Cancer too. Sometimes Cancer niggas is too.
Yeah. I'm a Cancer also.
You know, 50, it's like
you know, 50 still mad at me over interviewing Jimmy Henchman. You know.
Yeah. What are you gonna do,
man? 50 will hold his grudges forever.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Whatever.
Like,
whatever.
Yeah, whatever, man. God bless you, and I wish you the best, kid. You know what I mean?
Okay, so you got this album that you're working on, and you know Kanye West is doing tracks on it, and I mean you got Faith Evans on it, you got Bun B on it, Black Thought is on it, but the album ultimately doesn't come out on Atlantic.
Nope, they wouldn't touch it. My first single, they put me in the studio, and they was like, yo, this is when they still liked me at the time. They was like, yo, you could work with any artist you want on our label, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, sheesh. So there was a young kid named Trey Songz who was starting to heat up. So I was like, I like this kid, Trey Songz. I met him, and he was good. He had good energy. So I said, yo, let me and him go in the studio and cook some shit up. And they were like, oh, this is a great pairing. Because they assumed we was gonna make one of those, you know, say, no. But we went in there and made a song called Pain in My Life. You know what I'm saying? So much pain in my life. Young Felicia was only 4, but she learned how to ride a bike. Now she 14, riding there, Tom, Dick, and Mike. I made some shit that was, you know what I mean? Even Trey was like, yo, this is different. I didn't expect this. But he was like, I love it because it's saying something. And when I turned it into them, they were like, what is this? I was like, y'all don't like this shit? Yeah. He was like, well, they didn't want to shoot a video. They didn't want to do the video. They really much wanted me to go in there and do shoot 'em up, bang, bang. And that's when I realized that these fucking record companies be behind a lot of the bullshit that we get. I experienced it. I experienced it firsthand where they told me, look, the executive said to me in my face, she said, bust your artistic nut on the rest of your album. I need my 3 singles to sell this shit. I need to sell it. So I got to do what sells, Saigon. This shit, saving your community and trying to save the children, the shit don't sell. So pretty much what sells is bang, bang, kill them, gang banging, shoot them up, girl twerk, shake your ass, make yourself look like a worthless piece of meat, twerk, the shit that's going on now. Still. You know what I'm saying? Every rapper's a gangbanger, every male rapper's a gangbanger, every female twerks and shows her titties. Like that's not by design. There's something behind that.
Right. And I think around that time you got on Entourage.
Yep. I got on Entourage.
Which at the time was like the hottest show on television.
Hottest show in the world. To this day, I introduce myself to people today, Vlad, and I'll be like, how you doing, Saigon? They be like, oh, like the guy from Entourage. I'm like, yeah, like him. like that guy. Like I just took somebody's name and ran with it. I'm like, yeah, like the guy from Entourage. Like that show has a cult following, like fucking one of the biggest shows. And when you in it, you don't realize how big it is until you take a step back and look, and you be like, whoa, this shit is something really big. But even that wasn't enough. And for them to push the button on my music, so what they did was they said, okay, he went and got on this big show because G. Roberson, who had signed me up there to Atlantic, it wasn't really just Blaze, it was G. Roberson and hip hop. Kiambu Joshua and hip hop, they really signed me up there. And it was like, so G had got me the audition to get Entourage. When I get the part, it was like, okay, we still don't want to fuck with this conscious save the black children shit, but we don't want you to go up to Def Jam and blow up with this shit. So you're under contract with us. We're not gonna put out your music, but we're not gonna let you go. And that's when it started to get funky. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, if you don't like my music or what I'm about, let me go up the street. You know what I'm saying? They fucking with me on that Def Jam. They told me they love me at Warner. I talked to their execs. They said, yo, come over here. We'd love to put your album out. And they wouldn't let me leave. They held me for 6 years, bro, like on some real sucker shit. 6 years. Because they figured after 6 years, he's a fucking dud. You know what I'm saying? Who the fuck I want to touch somebody 6 years later?
Well, I'm trying to get the timeline right. Mm-hmm. Was it around this time when the stabbing happened with the wine bottle?
Mm-hmm. That was around that time. That was right around the time I got the deal. Because the reason why I almost died is because I bought my first car and I didn't want to get no blood in my Mercedes. I bought the CLS when it first came out. So it was around the same time because I bought that with my advance money. So it was right around when I got my deal. And some kids acted like a fan and came up trying to yap me and shit. It was me and my man and two other guys. It was 2-on-2. But the thing is, I didn't know that. I thought it was only one guy at first. So dude walked up like a fan, like he wanted a picture and shit. And then when he got close enough, that's when everybody was wearing them little diamond chains and shit. Before the Cubans, when somebody could just pop that shit off. He popped it off, and then we started. I snatched it. We started fighting, and then his man hit me from behind. I thought he punched me, but he had stabbed me. So I turned around and started fighting his man. We backed these niggas up. You know what I'm saying? Backed them down. We ended up with their phones actually. But then I was cut the whole time, so I didn't realize I was cut. My man kept saying, fam, you cut. And I'm like, fuck that, because my adrenaline's running. He like, all right, but you cut bad, like, you cut. So then I look at the side, I see blood everywhere and shit. So my dumb ass, instead of jumping in that little fucking bum-ass car, going up to the hospital, this was right in front of 23rd and 9th, that diner everybody used to go to, Chelsea Diner. After the club, everybody would go to that Chelsea Diner and shit. Instead of me jumping in my car going to the hospital, I'm out there trying to hail a cab and shit while I'm literally bleeding out. I had to get blood transfusion. A blood transfusion. You
lost that much blood?
I lost 2.5 pints of blood. Sitting there trying to get a cab, yo. She was going, never did I say, the nurse was like, all you had to do was just put pressure on your shit. But I was like, because when your adrenaline's flowing, the next thing you know, I eventually jumped in the car to get to the hospital. But, you know, and I almost died. They told me if you didn't get in that car when you did and come here, you would have bled out right there and died. So God was with me on that one again, bro.